Good evening, everyone. I'm Leslie Adamy.
I'm Mike Gillespie. Much to get to here in this newscast, but we begin tonight with the Nueces River as rising water is now pushing toward communities downstream.
Low-lying areas are under close watch as emergency crews prepare for flooding for later this week.
Hope Boland is in for Chief Meteorologist Carly Smith tonight, and we're going to ask her to lead us off with the very latest there. Hope?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Leslie. The Nueces River is under a flood warning all the way from Cotulla to Lake Corpus Christi. Right now, we're really seeing those high flood waters south of Tilden. They did reach major flood stage earlier today and are expected to crest around 23.1 feet later tonight. But you'll notice here on the river forecast, it does have Nueces River south of Tilden staying above major flood stage through the end of the work week, possibly even into the weekend. But it doesn't even go out far enough to show it getting into moderate flood stage and eventually out of flood stage. So that's something we're going to have to be watching there. Luckily, not a lot of people live in this area, but if you are going to be driving south of Tilden along Highway 16, this is something to definitely keep in mind. All of that water then takes a little over a day to reach Three Rivers. So if you've been following along with us over the last couple of days, you'll notice that this forecast keeps on changing. And when Three Rivers is expected to reach major flood stage has been pushed back. Now the river is supposed to overreach its banks on Wednesday, getting into major flood stage overnight and on Thursday. And then it is then expected to crest around 40.3 feet over the weekend. And so at 40.3 feet, that is similar to a flood that we saw in 2002. So it's been a very long time since we've seen floodwaters over 40 feet. So this is something that if you live in that area that you're definitely going to need to prepare for, prep your property and move your livestock. There are several subdivisions though that are known to flood and have flooded in the past. These subdivisions are River Creek's Acre Subdivision, J.I. Haley Subdivision, Kellner Camp, and Buckeye Knoll Subdivision. So if you live in any of these, you're really going to need to be paying attention to what local officials say and to make sure that you are keeping your safety the #1 priority over the next several days. I'll have more information on the flood forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, good information there. Thank you for that, Hope. Now, at the direction of Governor Abbott, state emergency resources are already staged across the threat area with boats, aircraft, and crews ready to respond if conditions worsen. They're reminding South Texans that rising rivers can bring dangerous flooding even if the sun is shining.
Just because it's not raining where you live doesn't mean that you're in the clear. There still could be water that causes impacts to your community, to your neighborhood. What we're talking about here is potentially dangerous levels of water in a very short amount of time. And so we don't want Texans to get complacent and think that, oh, this is just a drought-busting rain or this is a drought-busting water that's going to push through our community. This is potentially hazardous water at this point in time. And so we want to make sure that Texans are ready for that. We want you to plan for the worst, prepare for the worst, and then hope for the best.
Now, the Texas Division of Emergency Management asks anyone with flood damage to go ahead and report it through the state's online damage survey. They say that information helps to assess the extent of the disaster, connect residents with available resources, and determine whether Texas qualifies for federal assistance.